welcome in our Thursday co-host today. He is the Jefferson County prosecuting attorney with absolutely no jurisdiction whatsoever in Berkeley County. Matt Harvey, good morning, sir.
That might be a mistake, me not having jurisdiction with our other co-host on here today. You might need
you do have jurisdiction over your other co-host, as he is a
well,
Jefferson
no,
County
I mean,
resident.
not here. I can keep an eye on him in Shepherdstown and
He's
Jefferson
got to go
County.
home sometime.
But, yeah.
And that will be John Doyle. Good morning, John.
Good morning, and I too have no jurisdiction in Berkeley County.
But you are a two-time co-host this week.
I am, but that doesn't give me jurisdiction.
It's great to bring you out of retirement either way.
Yeah.
Welcome back, sir.
Well, thank you. Yeah, it's always wonderful to be here.
Wonderful to have you with us. At some point along the way, you served on the Education Committee in the House of Delegates, did you?
For 4 years, yes. But also, for 19 years when I was on the Finance Committee, for 12 of those, I chaired the Higher Education Subcommittee of the Finance Committee. So,
Very good. Well, let's get into it with our guests here on this program this morning. She is the president of the Berkeley County Board of Education, Jackee Long.
Good morning.
And you brought with you a guest, a first-time guest on the program, not to mention donuts, by the way. Jackee never comes empty-handed. Tyson. Ty, good morning to you.
Good morning. Thanks for having us.
And what is your job with Berkeley County Schools, sir?
I'm the Executive Director of Facilities and
Talking to your
Maintenance.
mic a little bit more.
Executive Director of Facilities and Maintenance.
Very nice. And how long have you done that job, Ty?
2 years.
And what did you do previous to that?
Prior to that, I was a principal in the county and a teacher prior to that.
Oh, very nice. What did you teach?
Taught math, high school math out at Hedgesville High School.
Math is always a good thing to know, especially on payday. You want to make sure if you've been paid accurately, John.
that's arithmetic.
You don't want to? I know. See, this is what I love about you. Nobody else would answer that question that way. And John would, the only guy that points out the difference between arithmetic and math.
You don't have to be good at math or arithmetic to figure out your paycheck as a co-host on this show.
That is true. That's exactly right.
Or a guest.
That's what makes Mr. Hornby's equations so easy to figure. You're all equal under the eyes of Mr. Hornby. And worth the same amount, I might add.
That's right.
Either way, it's nice to have you paid or volunteer. It's still nice to have you in the studio. But figuring numbers does come into play when it comes to applying for money from the SBA, and Berkeley County was awarded some from the School Building Authority this time around. Jackee and Ty, can you address that?
Yeah. We received a grant for $1.5 million. We had to put up half of that, $533,000, and the SBA gave us the other $533,000. I'm looking at Ty just to make sure he's backing me up on that.
Yes, yeah, it was a 50-50 match.
Yeah, it was $1 million. It was $1 million.
All right, Ty, tell me about the application process and such.
So each spring, the SBA offers an MIP grant, Major Improvement Project Grant. And so we refer to our Comprehensive Educational Facilities Plan that's updated every 10 years. And it was last updated in 2020. And so in 2020, there was a whole list of items that needed addressed and upgraded in our county. And so we've been working our way down through that list, essentially. And this round, we applied for some window replacement funding at 2 of our schools and a partial roof replacement at another. Is what we did.
And Jackee, these Berkeley County schools did not get SBA funding last year, or was last year the year we got the $25 million?
We got the $25 million.
Yeah, 2 years ago we got the $25 million.
But last year?
It was.
We got $4 million.
Last year we got $4 million.
Okay.
This was for in the fall they advertised the SBA Needs Fund. So we did that twice, $25 million and $4 million. And then previous spring we also were replacing windows, and we were also awarded that grant, and that was to replace windows in 4 schools. And then this year is this one that we're talking about today.
Okay, very good. And what did we use the $4 million for last year, did you say?
The $4 million is to go toward the Inwood pre-K facility that we're building. And that construction will likely start either later this fall or in the spring.
All right. Tell me, what is the application process like? How cumbersome is it, and how user-friendly is the process?
I'd say it's fairly user-friendly. It's very straightforward, and we have a representative from the SBA, Joyce Van Gilder, who collaborates with me and helps us through the process. And plus, I work with our superintendent, Ryan Sachs, and our deputy superintendent of operations, Justin Schooley. So it's a collaborative effort amongst all of us. But it's very straightforward, and we're just going through. You have to apply for something that is mentioned in that CEFP, that 10-year plan. So as long as that's in alignment, then it's a pretty straightforward process.
And when was the last time the 10-year plan was done?
2020.
2020. So what's left in that plan to apply for throughout the rest of this decade of major note?
Well, I'm sure we can always, windows, doors, roofs, all of that, but Ty knows more about what's left than I do. So
Yeah, there are still things like the windows and the roofing and some HVAC upgrades, things like that are still remaining. However, a majority of those items have been addressed with our bond that was passed in 2022. And we are currently going through an amendment and upgrade to our 10-year CEFP because we have essentially really whittled down what was on that 10-year plan. So by the end of December of this year, we will have revised that so that we can finish up our next 5 years.
John Doyle.
Yeah, Jackee, you mentioned a $25 million. Refresh my memory of what was that for?
That was what we added to for the bond money, which will go towards Falling Waters.
Yeah, it will go toward
The new
two
school in
schools.
Falling Waters. Falling Waters and,
and Mountain Ridge Primary.
Okay, now,
Which we've
now
already-
Falling Waters is an elementary, it's a middle,
be-
it's a primary, which?
It's going to be K-5.
K5, okay.
Yeah.
And Mountain Ridge, we've already started groundbreaking, and we've done some things at Falling Waters, but Ty knows more what we've done there.
Well, right now, we're
Yeah,
still in the
just-
planning stages
yeah.
at Falling
Okay.
Waters.
Cleared
and
some things off the property that
Okay, yeah.
Matt Harvey.
Ty, just to kind of get some foundation information here. So, how many buildings do you have that you're looking out for? How many employees report to you?
We have 32 schools, and we have 8 administrative offices. And in our department, which is essentially facilities and maintenance, there are approximately 20 that are doing the HVAC work, plumbing, electrical, carpentry, that sort of thing.
How do you go from a math teacher to a principal to facilities and maintenance?
That's a great question. While I was a teacher, I was also building houses. That would be my summer side job. So I had that construction background, and always have had an interest in construction. So I've been involved with it throughout my career. So when this job opportunity came about, I thought, hey, this is a good combination, right? Education, construction, put it together, and so that's what got me into this position.
Well, let me ask you a question then. So does that mean that you no longer get your summers off?
I no longer get my summers
It
off.
seems like that would be a busier time for facilities and maintenance.
Absolutely, yes, because
during
now
the
is when
summer.
we are trying to get a lot of the schools renovated and fixed up before the students start back in mid-August. So there's
Ty's
no
been
more
a-
summer side jobs for me.
Yeah, Ty's been a great asset to our
And
facilities.
and you may have mentioned this earlier. How long have you been in that role?
2 years. in
2
this-
years.
in this
But
current
he's
role,
been in
yes.
the system
Yeah,
for
I've been in
ever.
at Berkeley County Schools for 28 years, but this is my second year in this facilities position.
Did you go to Berkeley County Schools?
I did. I was a graduate of Hedgesville High School,
So
and then
you didn't have-
and then I taught there. So, yeah.
Flying Eagles.
There you go.
Throwing out the mascot there.
That's right.
Very nice. So, Ty, how much money would it take to accomplish all the facilities needs that you'd like to see happen before the end of this decade that's in that 10-year plan?
That is a fantastic question because there are several schools that we probably need to build. Right now, we still have students that are in portable classrooms, and our goal is to get them into the main buildings. I mean, but our growth in this county of population is so rapid, it's difficult for us to keep up. So I don't know if I can put a number on that, but we certainly need to build some more schools in order to alleviate the growth and to fit all of our students within the buildings.
Even if our growth slows down, we need more facilities. And we also are going to have to redistrict once we get some of those new, the Mountain Ridge and Falling Waters built.
I'm sorry. Are those middle schools or high schools?
Mountain Ridge is an elementary.
It's a K2,
K2, and Falling Waters is K5.
Okay. Is there another high school coming?
Well,
They'll have to be, right?
We bought 150 acres across from, well, up there where we're building Mountain Ridge in that area. So
And where is that?
that's on Jarrettstown Road. Do you know where Mountain Ridge Middle and Intermediate are? You go back towards
Go past the
Sawmill
Target.
Road.
Huh?
Go past Target.
Go past Target.
Well,
Okay.
well, you go up to Jarrettstown and take a right,
Okay.
and just keep going about how many miles? 2 miles?
It's probably 2 miles off the Inwood exit.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, okay, it's further down.
So if you were to build it now, I would think that the bulk of the student population would come from Musselman. Is that right?
If we were to build a new high school,
Yeah.
yeah, it would come from Musselman and Back Creek and Jarrettstown area.
Right. Okay.
I'm sure they probably have a longer travel time for a lot of those students.
From Musselman?
No. Well, yeah, from like Back Creek area.
Yes. Well,
Or do they go to Hedgesville?
it's split, isn't it, Tom?
It's split.
Because they
Yeah,
would have
that-
to go up and then go back.
Yeah, it depends
If you
on
live
where
at
you
the
live
woods,
on
you-
that road. Where,
Yeah, if you live at the woods, you're going to Hedgesville.
yeah.
Still good ways.
That's good
Yeah.
ways.
And,
Yeah.
I mean, well, the woods is kind of might be closer, but somewhere I'm thinking like Jones Spring and area and Shanghai. Like that's a
Yeah, Shanghai is essentially the cutoff.
Yes.
So
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
that's the dividing ground.
And you can't have students on the bus any more than 45 minutes or an hour, so you have to figure something else out.
Ty, Brad Knoll said he remembers you when you were born. You were his next door neighbor when he was a child.
This is correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
Or I
that's
guess
right.
when you were a child.
I was a child. Yes, I remember Brad.
Not,
So,
not
yeah.
Brad, yeah. And also, you guys got a compliment from Sarah Rockwell White about the new windows at Burke Street Elementary School.
Oh, it
Yes.
looks beautiful.
Yeah, it's real nice. Yeah, we
Yeah.
are upgrading that entire school with a brand new HVAC system, replacing all the windows for energy efficiency, and also upgrading the restrooms. So major renovation happening at Burke Street this summer
When will that be completed?
before the students come back.
Oh, that's pretty,
So,
pretty efficient.
started
August 14th probably is when it'll wrap up.
started 2 days before the students were out. We dismissed there a little early, so they could start because they've been working weekends from what I've seen and rapidly working hard. It looks great.
So 2 years ago, when you got to $25 million, the discussion was on this show, and we had differing opinions about it. You gave the reasons why you can't, and the question was, why not just apply for $25 million or $35 million every year and see what you get? And some people said, yeah, you actually can do that. Some people said you actually can't do that. What's the story on that? Well, I have the two of you here.
Well, I think you can, but you got to know people don't like to hear this, but you got to know the players, and you got to know where you are in the list to what you're going to get, because you know what counties are going to get next.
So read the room and know the pecking order.
Yeah, you know what you're going to get. You don't want to go in there. This is crude language, like a hog, and ask for the moon, and you come out of there with nothing.
Yeah, it sounds like the formal rules are, the official rules are, you can ask for anything
Yes.
you want, anytime you want. But the practical rules are, you gotta be realistic.
Yeah.
Well, even this most recent application where we were awarded the $533,794, we asked for more than that.
How much did
but
you request?
We requested, I think we requested close to $800,000 for this
Yes.
one. And however, in collaboration with the SBA, and they, of course, are assessing the needs in the entire state, they basically worked with us back and forth, and we were able to still get funding, but narrowed it down to this amount.
Because they've been here and see our needs, but they also know the needs of the rest of the state. So
That's
they
a-
have to split it where they.
That's a pretty specific amount. $533,779.
Yes.
Is that what you said?
It's a very specific amount. Yeah, I said $533,794.
$794.
And 79 cents.
And 79 cents.
But the reason is because we, in preparing that application that you asked about earlier, we have to work collaboratively with the architects, and currently we're working with McKinley Architecture and Engineering, and we have to come up with as accurate as possible a quote of our needs. And so, in working with them, there's a certain amount of windows in each of the schools, a certain square footage of roofing that we are requesting for. So this was all based on a a quote that was done by them.
Okay, so-
That's why it's such a specific amount.
Well, you turn in your quote, and then they come back and say, no, you get this amount. Any idea why the difference?
I'd say it's because of what they have to award.
And also
Yes.
balancing the requests from all 55
Yes.
counties,
Yeah.
or however many chose to make a request for this particular year. And let's say the total requests came in for 50 million, and they have 35 million to give out. They're going to go through, and they're going to first of all say, how can we be fair about this? But also, which are the needs that we think are the most critical? And we'll try to fund them first. And then if we get the ones we think are critical, then we'll go to the ones we think are urgent.
That's exactly right.
Yeah, it seems odd that they would just, instead of rounding it, hey, here's $550,000 instead, 79 cents.
Yeah.
Well, and sometimes they'll say, well, we can give you this amount if you add 50,000 more to what you're going to ante up, and then we'll.
And then where does that money come from on the school side, where you're trying to provide your own skin in the game?
The capital improvement fund.
And does that go through a similar vetting process as to how much you can dole out for each project?
Well, it's what we have.
That's your capital
That's
improvement
our
fund,
capital
right?
improvement
Yes.
fund.
Yes. I mean, I'm asking if you folks get together and they say, okay, Ty, they're going to give us this much for the windows. We need to add this much more. Is that how you end up working out what you're going to contribute?
Well, that's what my thinking is. And then every time that Ty brings us something, or Dr. Sachs brings the board something that says, this is an overreach, or this is, what do you call it, where we haven't planned for it, but it's,
I guess you're
forget
talking about
that. Yeah.
essentially you're talking about capital improvements.
yeah, well, then we have to figure out, we want to know, the board wants to know exactly where that's coming from and how much it's going to be, and then the balance, how much we have in that, because you can't keep taking out of that.
And then does it have to be a Board of Education vote or a superintendent's approval? How
It
does
depends
it work?
on the amount.
What about with this amount? Did you-
Well, I mean, we knew that they were putting in a request, but if we wanted to match it, we didn't vote on that.
You didn't vote on the match?
No, we didn't vote on the match.
How does the match happen if it's not voted on? Is that just an automatic, we need this amount of money, it just goes through the system? I guess what I'm asking is who approves the amount that the schools are contributing to this particular project as opposed to another project?
When you say the schools are contributing, you mean the county, the system?
The school system, yes.
Well, I mean, Dr. Sachs we give him that latitude. He and Ty know. Now, if it was much more than this, definitely would come back to the board. But you can't you don't want to lose your, they work fast, so you either need to be on the ball and give them your request and approval, or you'll lose it. Because you turn this in, you automatically know that you're going to have to put half of it up.
Mm-hmm.
So we knew what the amount would be of the major improvements that they turned in. So you're going to have to at least put half to it.
Okay.
Make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we knew ahead of time that we'd have to put
So,
at least
so
half to it.
basically, below a certain amount, and maybe you know what it is, and maybe you don't offhand, the superintendent has the flexibility to say, yeah, we can match this amount. But if it's a significantly higher amount, let's say for a fourth high school, you all would say, hey, we're going to vote on this.
Oh,
Yeah.
definitely. And as I said, Ty and Dr. Sachs worked on this, and we knew it was going in, so we knew we'd have to match whatever we were
Yeah.
given. So,
Well, Ty, let me ask you, how do you prioritize projects for the schools?
The prioritization is done through that 10-year CEFP plan, which was done in 2020. So at that time, we hired an architect firm, Thrasher, and they did a major assessment of our entire district, and they determined what our prioritized needs are. So that essentially was a list that was provided to us that we were working through, most of which we addressed on the bond. but we couldn't address everything on the bond. So these are some of those items that we're talking about today that weren't addressed on the bond, but was still on that CEFP 10-year plan.
And I'm sure that you can't follow that plan 100%. There's some allowed deviation from that.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes there are things that arise that are probably more of an emergency situation that we have to do that are not on that 10-year plan. But whenever you apply for an SBA grant, it must be something that was established on that plan.
Well, what if there needs to be a major deviation from that plan? Does that have to go back to the board for approval, or?
Yes, if there's maybe there's a school that we didn't realize how bad the roof was leaking until we got a couple years into the plan. Well, then we're going to have to go find funding for that. So yeah, I would go present that to the board and say, hey, we have a need here, and they would either approve it or come up with another solution.
So basically, you could, with the vote of the board, revise the plan.
We can revise the plan,
yeah.
and yes, and we can do amendments. So if there's a need, like some things we're able to take care of out of our capital improvements without going for a grant application. But if there's a need that's not in the CEFP, we can do an amendment to that.
How much is your budget a year?
It was $299 million this year. Next year it'll be.
Is that the total school budget?
Total school
Yes.
budget.
Oh, are you talking his budget?
Yes.
Oh, my budget is approximately $1.5 million for the general facilities and maintenance.
That's just.
But
That sounds like
items are
salaries,
above and
right?
beyond. Well, no, the salaries would be in addition to that. I'm only talking about the actual work that we're doing throughout the schools is approximately $1.5 million.
That seems like a small amount for a school system of this size, Jackee.
It's been so much smaller. That amount sounds glorious to me. Because in the past years, when an emergency arose, wherever it was, you always took it out of the maintenance fund. Seemed to be that's the way it was. So
Once you get approval from the SBA and the funds are set, now how long does it take to actually begin to do the work?
It probably will take approximately 1 year because now we're notified that we've been approved. So the next step is we have to hire an architect firm to, fine-tune the scope of work, and then they have to advertise this so that the contractors can bid on it. And of course, that's a whole process. And then once the contract is awarded, then you have to allow time for materials to come in. And so by the time that all happens, probably this would be a next summer project.
Okay. Very
and
good.
then hope that the cost didn't go up between now and
Yeah.
then,
Well,
and pray that it went down.
and you have to make up the difference if it does, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. Do you
If
set
we're
a-
going to go, if we're going to continue with that plan, once in a while we revise some of that because
Yeah,
of cost.
sometimes. Yeah, if the price is too high, then we might reduce the scope a little
Yes.
bit, and maybe we won't install a window in every single location. We might have to reduce the scope depending on the budget.
Very good. Well, I want to thank you both for coming in this morning to further explain this part and this aspect of what it takes to run a school system. First day of school is what, August
August 19th for
August
students.
19. That's less than 2 months away.
Yeah, it'll be here
Yeah.
before you know it.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, well. Ty Tyson, great to meet you.
Great to meet you. Thanks for having us.
Former Hedgesville Eagle.
That's right.
Yeah.
Probably always a Hedgesville Eagle.
I suppose so.
Jackee Long, were you a Martinsburg Bulldog?
Yes, I was. My son was a Hedgesville Eagle. So I'm split.
That's a tough dinner table there. Yeah.
But when you're a board member, you're in everything.
You're everything. Yeah. You have to switch sides at halftime, right?
Yes.